I am here to report that, in fact, they will now debate financial reform. Republicans and Democrats together are going to try and hammer this thing out. Now we bring in the Democrat, Ted Kaufman from Delaware, who might have a slightly different perspective on this, and we welcome him to our show. Senator Kaufman, thanks for being with us, sir. What is your take? What is your take on the Republican take of what broke the impasse?
Well, you know, my feeling all along, and I've been saying all along, is that, you know, what the Republicans, I think, were counting on is that most Americans, it's been an article of faith. I came here in 1973 working for Senator Biden. It's been an article of faith. The American people don't care much about procedural arguments, but I think every once in a while they do. And this procedural argument about the fact the Republicans did not want this to come to the floor, which is clear to every American who was on the side of actually having financial regulatory reform and who wasn't.
So you're saying, sir, they were just bucking the trend and they just couldn't continue in that vein.
Exactly. Yeah. I think they thought that, you know, keep this procedural thing up, and, you know, eventually the Democrats will fade. But I think what they forgot was just how incredibly important it is to Americans that we do something about Wall Street. I mean, it's just so incredibly important to America. After jobs, which is the #1 thing that we're all working on, the next best thing is we got to go and make sure this never happens again and we have to cure Wall Street. And I think the pressure was just building on them. I know the Democrats felt like we were going to stay on this point and we were going to hammer it home until the Republicans finally decided
that's
to
interesting.
Come to the floor.
Look, I don't like talking about procedure as much as the next guy, because in the end, you know what, people watching this show, they don't give a hoot what you guys do procedurally. You know, just figure it out. However, I'll make an exception here and say it sounds like you guys tried to call their bluff by saying, fine, you're going to stop the debate? No. We'll be calling the vote every single day and making it look like you guys are obstructionists. Was that what you were trying to do?
Rick, no. Rick, what we were trying to do is say, look, guys, we've been negotiating for you for months. And, you know, and the charges on the floor, Republicans say we're negotiating. I mean, Senator Dodd and Senator Shelby negotiated. Senator Corker, a Republican from Tennessee, and Mark Warner, the Democrat from Virginia, negotiated. Judd Gregg, the Republican from New Hampshire, and Jack Reed, the Democrat from Rhode Island. They were negotiating. Now what we said was, it's time to go to the floor in public on this bill that's very important to America's and actually amend it and get on the floor and talk about it. The time for behind doors was over. I mean, the Republicans, it's really ironic that the Republicans during the health care debate says there isn't enough transparency, but yet they wanted to hold up this bill, and they held it up in order to make a backroom deal rather than bring it to the floor. Let's vote on it. Let's offer the amendments. And whatever they say is in this bill, we're now going to get to the real hard work, Rick, you know, of going to the floor, offering amendments, and voting on them.
All right, now take me through that process. Forget about what happened in the past and the problems you had with Republicans and Democrats. Let's talk about what you can do for the American people to guarantee that what happened a year and a half, 2 years ago on Wall Street does not happen again.
Right. And, Rick, you know, I've given a series of speeches on the floor laying out what I thought I've given 4 of them. I've been talking for quite a while about it. I think we have a good bill, but I think we need, and we have a good resolution authority, although I do have some concerns that I've expressed, and I will have amendments to alter the resolution authority. But, you know, I'm a belt and suspenders guy.
But as it, I want
to reduce the...
So as it stands right now, let's just go through these things. Let's take them off. Does it stop? Will this bill control the too big to fail aspect in the future so another one of these guys can't come back and say, sorry, you got to help us because we're too big and we'll screw up the economy?
I think there's a good chance to, but what I really believe to do it, Rick, is that we got to break up these banks. I think we should go back to Glass-Steagall at 1929, after the crash in 1933, put a bill in that says you can either be in the commercial banking business or the investment banking business. For 60 years, that stood us in good stead. We started cutting back on it in 1999. We removed it. This would be a good first step to break down the size of banks so that you can't be in investment banking. Look, right now, 15 years ago, the 6 largest banks in the United States made up 17% of their assets made 70% of the gross domestic product. Now, 6 largest banks can make 62%. I think what we should do is break these banks up. That's what I'm going to, Senator Maria Cantwell, Democrat from Washington, Senator John McCain, Republican of Arizona, going to offer that amendment, and I'm for that amendment. I'm also for some other things if that doesn't work.
You know, it almost sounds like the process of re-regulation, which is something which was undone. Well, really, you know, it wasn't
you're right.
It wasn't a Republican or a Democratic thing. It was an everybody thing.
Yeah, but it really got strong the last 8 years when the Securities Exchange Commission gave up what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, essentially was not regulating anything. And the other thing is, Sherrod Brown and I have a proposal to put caps on how much capital is a percentage of assets. I mean, and put a cap on liabilities, a limit on liabilities. To say you had to have a limit on liabilities in order to bring the size of these banks down, and in order to get rid of the risk. And that's the big problem, is how do we get rid of the risk so that this never happens again? And I happen to think we have to have a comprehensive program to reduce the size of these banks and then monitor them. I don't think right now we're leaving it up to the regulators. I think right now, a better idea is to actually put into law what it is we want.
Have at it, Senator. You and the Republicans and the rest of your colleagues, we wish you luck. I think the American people are, for the most part, pulling for you. We'll see you again soon.
Absolutely. No, by the way, one thing I'm sure of, they are, Rick, and I appreciate it. And everybody wants this to happen. No one wants this ever to happen again, to cause the terrible things, lost jobs, houses, and the rest. We cannot let this happen again.
Senator Kaufman from the great state of Delaware. We're going to be right back with more Pulitzer.
Great, Rick. Thanks.
I thought